Hello, my friends at EMS. Today I want to talk to you about belonging and longing to belong. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Don Clymer. I retired several years ago from teaching Spanish and other things just up the hill at EMU. And previous to that, I worked with Virginia Mennonite Conference and Missions, which is also located very close to you. My daughter and her husband are alumni of EMS, as is my son. In fact, my son currently serves on the alumni board of EMS. I also had several nieces and nephews graduate from here. My wife and I have been fans of your touring choir for many years, stretching back before our own children were in it. In fact, when my son was in the choir, we spent several days with them in Switzerland during their European tour. My wife actually is from Switzerland. Speaking of Switzerland, the roots of my family lie there. Most of you, if not all of you, are from families of immigrants as well. Our families came here from every part of the globe. We have been cut off from the roots of our family tree, and because of this, many of us have a longing to find out where we belong and to whom we belong. After I married a Swiss woman, I was quite interested in knowing more about where my family had come from, since I was always told it was in Germany and Switzerland. I had a longing to know this link to my past, to belong to somewhere. So I started to do some research. I discovered that Thoman Clymer, the earliest ancestor that I could find, was born around 1536 in Montbéliard, France. That's a long time ago, over 480 years ago. This was right near the beginning of the Reformation and the establishment of the Protestants. Thoman became a Protestant in France. They were called Huguenots. The French government, however, didn't take too keenly to the Protestant movement. And so Thoman Clymer and his family had to flee for their lives. And so they went to Alfolten am Albis in Switzerland, where his great-great-grandson, my immigrant ancestor, Valentine Clymer, by the way, Clymer and Clymer have been interchanged over the centuries many, many times, was born in 1665. Somewhere around 1685, he became an Anabaptist. Now, it was his turn to have to flee for his life. Something about my background makes me a bit of a radical. He fled to Germany for about 20 years and then immigrated to the United States in 1717, more than 300 years ago. Finding all this information made me feel like I belong. I belong to a family tribe that goes back to at least 1560. I also belong to an Anabaptist Mennonite faith tribe, which for me stretches back 340 years. My longing to belong should be satisfied. However, if I only stick with my tribe, and whether it be with faith or family, I exclude a lot of people. They feel unwelcome in my presence. I got abruptly kicked out of my tribes when I went to Honduras for 2 years as a 19-year-old to serve in voluntary service with the Mennonite Church. When I got there, I felt completely alien, like I didn't belong. I recently published a book about my 2 years serving there. When I first arrived, I didn't know the language, I didn't know all the cultural nuances, and I felt like a duck out of water. I made plenty of cultural mistakes. But as the years went by, I began to feel more at home, if not ever completely. My language improved, I made many friendships with Honduras, and I began to love the food. As I developed closer friendships with Hondurans, I discovered that the way I viewed the world and many of the assumptions that I made about faith and life were not understood the same way by Hondurans. I had a very arrogant view of my country and how blessed by God we were for all the wealth and material blessings we had. However, they pointed out to me that much of the wealth of the United States came through the exploitation of Honduran and other Latin American people and their natural resources. In Honduras, it was bananas. We typically pay under $1 for a pound of bananas in the U.S. In order for us to have such cheap bananas, Honduran workers slave in the hot tropical sun for a mere $2 United States money a day. While thousands of acres of the best land are planted with bananas, people in villages surrounding these plantations are malnourished. Was my blessing their curse? In Harrisonburg, I have met many Hondurans living here. We immediately connect with each other when I hear about their time and when they hear about my time in their homeland. Most of them are here to improve their economic situation, trying to avoid that $2 a day work in the hot sun or in maquiladoras, sweatshops where they make clothes for us. However, they don't feel connected to the wider culture that surrounds them here. They often feel hateful stares and racial slurs are thrown at them. They certainly don't feel like they belong. So they stick together in their neighborhoods, seldom mixing with the broader community. Many of those in the white majority here in the United States thinks that our country belongs only to certain groups of people from Europe and that our language is English. These people haven't studied their history very well. The first city founded in the United States was St. Augustine in Florida in 1565. Interesting that that's pretty close to the same date that my earliest known ancestor was born. By the time the first British colony was founded in 1607 in Jamestown, there were Spanish missions already established in all the Southwest, from Texas to California and north to Oregon, as well as in Georgia, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Spanish was already spoken in a large area of the United States before English ever got a toehold. And today, after Mexico, the United States is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. Now think about that for a while. My longing for belonging took me from my sheltered life to Switzerland, to Germany, and to Honduras, plus a few other places along the way. I developed skills and culture and language in each of these places. In addition, my Mennonite tribe has been expanded to belong in all of these countries. I have found where I belong and then opened my tribes to others different from me. I have been truly blessed, but not in the way that I had originally thought. Where do you belong?